Hello, everyone. And it is your friendly neighborhood superhero, bankruptcy nerd. And I am just going to quickly run down November numbers and year to date and some of the fiscal year end numbers that came out and talk about bankruptcy nerdy things because it's Friday. And who doesn't like to talk about bankruptcy nerdy things on a Friday? So I do have my graphics here to try to put the numbers in perspective. So let's see if that worked. Um, one of those days. There we go. So we have November numbers gearing up for January. Keep in mind that for bankruptcy attorneys, January is one of the busiest times of the year. And the first week of January tends to be very busy with phone calls because people make New Year's resolutions to get out of debt or lose weight. And I always tell people I can help with one of those. And so gearing up in December is the thing. Make sure that you're ready to go with your systems, your processes, everything like that, because once it hits in January. So let's go through what some of these numbers are. First, I'm going to talk about a couple of new things that I launched recently. I still have the full workshop to add bankruptcy as a practice area in about 10 to 12 hours, self-paced, available on the website, lawyersuccessnetwork.com. I also have support staff training now available. And Bankruptcy Toolbox is a membership and community site that includes forms, templates, pleadings, daily bankruptcy alerts for news, marketing, and all kinds of other fun things. So that's the Bankruptcy Toolbox. And Bankruptcy Boardroom is the CEO running the bankruptcy firm. And you want to talk about big picture ideas, cash flow, profitable firm management, succession planning, and that kind of thing. So those are all up on the Lawyer Success Network website. We just transitioned over to a new platform and it's really cool. So go check it out. First thing I'm going to talk about is the fiscal year end for the feds is September 30th. And so on September 30th, they just recently, I think it was like November 24th, they released the fiscal year update for bankruptcy filings. Total filings from the previous fiscal year was an increase of 10.6%. They broke it out. Business was an increase of 5.6%, and non-business was an increase of 10.8%. Keep in mind that non-business filings tend to be the biggest chunk of like a high percentage of filings. And so the non-business numbers are what's pulling up the total average. That's year over year for the fiscal year that ended September 30th. Also, because I'm super nerdy and I love to be nerdy, I looked at another chart that was on the same page, that website I just linked in the last slide. I was looking at the numbers. They had a chart there that had total bankruptcy filings by chapter from 2021 through 2025. And the reason why I put this here is because you need to pay attention to years and trends. And if you'll remember what was happening in 2021, 22, COVID was a big deal. Bankruptcy filings dropped dramatically because of stimulus, foreclosure moratoriums, relief options that were available, that kind of thing. So bankruptcy filings dropped a lot. Bankruptcy firms were not filing a lot of cases. So that's why you see like this huge drop that goes down and builds up. But you'll see 2025, everything has been ramping up pretty decent percentages since then, because we're getting back to where we were in 2019 before COVID hit. And in 2019, I've said this on other live streams that I've done for bankruptcy nerds. First quarter of 2020 was my best quarter ever as a bankruptcy attorney, because I was seeing a lot of economic stress. And then COVID hit and moratoriums kicked in, forbearances kicked in, and it held people off for several years. And now that's where we are. So I thought this was an interesting just comparison of numbers when you look at year over year. I will note that Chapter 13 is interesting because in order to file Chapter 13, you have to have income. And I'll talk about this on a later slide when we compare November this year over November last year. But keep in mind, if people aren't employed, Chapter 13s aren't as higher in volume. So just things to watch out for. So let's jump into all the different chapters for November's over November. Commercial Chapter 11s, the increase between November 2024 to 2025 was a 20% increase overall for commercial Chapter 11s. Subchapter 5, broken down, if you've remembered, we've had pretty big increases in Subchapter 5, which is the small business form of Chapter 11. And that increase was 23%. So we're still seeing pretty significant increases in those areas. Keep in mind, those filings are fairly low when it comes to total numbers of bankruptcies filed, but the percentage increase is the important part there. Individual Chapter 7s from November to November saw an 11% increase. And as I always point out, there are some months that are higher in bankruptcy filings than other. November doesn't happen to usually be one of them, maybe the first half of November. But most of the time when we're getting to the holidays, bankruptcies are not, we're not usually running around during the holidays doing a lot of bankruptcy work, although this year, a lot of phone calls are coming in already for financial stress. Chapter 13s were a 5% increase from last year to this year. And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about having to have income, because the increase here was lower than you may expect. And I think one of the reasons for that is because of job losses. You have to have income to file for Chapter 13. And so you won't see a big of an increase in filings if unemployment goes up and job losses are higher. So knowing those macroeconomic trends often helps with predicting your caseload and whether you're going to have more Chapter 7s or more Chapter 13. So just keep that in mind. Total individual filings was an 8% increase from last year to this year. And keep in mind that Chapter 7s generally are about 75% of the individual filings, and Chapter 13s are usually around 25%. And so that's why with the 5% versus the 11%, it came out at 8% for the total individual filings increase. Total filings between, and this is all chapters, commercial, individual, was an 8% increase overall. So again, similar trend we've been seeing for the past couple of years. It's been an 8 to 10% increase year over year consistently. I do have some upcoming live trainings I wanted to throw out quick so that anyone who's interested in different things, I'm going to explain these. Docket diving. So tomorrow I have a diving for treasure, basically digging for treasure on calendar court websites and dockets, because there's all kinds of things you can learn and even hearings you can listen to and learn from using docket diving. And so we're going to go through for about 45 minutes and I'm going to show you different court websites, how to find things that are interesting, and then where to go on the dockets to find the pleadings that were filed, maybe audios for courts that have court hearings and things like that. So docket diving is tomorrow. And that is up on, all of these are on the Lawyer Success Network website under events. On Tuesday, we're doing Hypo Hour. So if you are a member of the Bankruptcy Toolbox, we have an hour set aside where you can ask any of the crazy questions that have come up, or you just want to get a second opinion on how you're looking at something or a situation. So Hypo Hour takes place every month. December 11th, we have a focus group we're doing on your dream bankruptcy software. So that is open to any bankruptcy attorney or support staff that wants to give input on the things that you wish your bankruptcy software did, especially when it comes to gathering documents and information from your clients. And so this is what would you do if you had a developer to actually listen to you? Because we do have a developer who will actually listen to us. December 12th, I am doing Advanced Chapter 13 Beyond the Basics, which is a 3-hour intense training on Chapter 13, from calculating unique types of plans, special provisions, to confirmation, objecting to claims, motions, and then closing cases. So this goes beyond the basics of Chapter 13. That is discounted if you're a Bankruptcy Toolbox member, or anyone can attend on the non-membership price. And then on December 19th, by popular demand, I am doing a bankruptcy support staff workshop. It is 5 hours of training your bankruptcy support staff on all the practical things they need to do to move cases through your firm. And it is 5 hours. It will be recorded. and it will be available for on demand as well after the 19th. So any of those you're interested in, please check out the events tab on the website. Finally, just remember, I do teach bankruptcy from start to finish. Profitable, practical bankruptcy skills, fully recorded access, and then you also get bankruptcy nerd mentoring as you go. So those are the numbers. Very interesting things happening right now in financial and bankruptcy worlds. So tune in. I do this every around the 4th or 5th of the month when the numbers come out from the month before. And I'm always happy to talk bankruptcy nerd things. So I will see you all soon.